Yeah, I gotta see
How did
this.
Roddy
I've been hearing about Roddy Rich being a flop for a minute, or however motherfuckers want to say it. I never really noticed it. Like, I fuck with dude's music. I thought he pretty good. He do got like a specific type sound that make it kind of hard to make a lot of different types of songs. But that's only because we've never heard different types of songs from a sound like that. So, I don't know.
Rich go from doing concert performances like this
So,
to saying he was going to delete his social media after being bullied for how bad his music was? In
shit
2019, Roddy was outselling Justin Bieber and even had Selena Gomez begging fans to stream her music over his.
I would
Damn.
love for the most important album I've ever released to become #1. So, if you don't mind
how they
streaming
fall,
it.
boy.
While all Roddy did to go #1 was put out a Triller video. So how can an artist who is seemingly developing Drake levels of momentum fall from grace in such a short period of time? Or could one argue that his
fall was
downfall
so
is not what it's
crazy.
hyped to be by the hip-hop community? Hi, I'm Luesta. I make video documentaries. Hi, I'm Luesta. I make weekly video documentaries of things I'm into. And today, we're gonna break down what led Roddy Ricch to regress from a big stepper to landing himself right back in the box he exploded out of.
Damn. That was
Raised in
bars.
Compton, Roderick Moore came into the world in 1998, and from a young age, he already had a keen interest in hip-hop and learned to rhyme from his family members. But before becoming the huge star that he is today, Roddy Ricch faced a number of challenges growing up in Compton, a city known for its gang-related activities and high crime rates. As Kendrick Lamar once said, only 1 in a million would ever make it out of the depth of Compton, and he even once referred to the city as living in Iraq. So Roddy was against all odds from the moment he was born. He even once told an insane story of how one time he took a walk through the city's streets at night and saw an entire corner filled with blood, claiming that it was at this moment he realized how fickle his life was. And by the age of 15, he would become a member of the California-based street gang, the Park Village Crips, which was located on the west side of Compton. After becoming affiliated with this gang, it wasn't long before he jumped off the porch, as this would lead him to being kicked out from his house by his own mother.
I was like running around with my Crips, like all my cousins, like all my family, like Crips. Then I got older, like I jumped off the porch. I got kicked out of my mom's house when I was like 15, 16, so.
Things only got worse from here. He started kicking in doors and hitting licks to make additional income. But doors won't be the only thing Roddy will be kicking in this video. And later, we're gonna discuss how he would later transfer that energy to fans. This behavior was odd as he describes his family as very religious. His household consisted of a couple of his siblings, along with his mom and grandma, who took him to church every Sunday. But this experience
See, motherfuckers don't be caring about none of that. You feel me? It's really, when you see motherfuckers have emotion, you see all the shit around you happening so fast, and knowing that you could be a casualty of that shit just by standing around, kind of move towards maybe having a little bit more protection. You know what I'm saying? When you see a motherfucker get squabbed out just from not having a set to clean, kind of move towards. So it's just the way of the world.
may have done more damage than good to Roddy, as he has spoken in interviews about how he was always really skeptical about believing in God, since he knew a bunch of people who actively went to church and still had difficult lives. However, a huge turning point in Roddy's life actually occurred during a trip to church, where he had a life-altering encounter with another Compton native and icon, Kendrick Lamar, who attended the same church as Roddy's family during his childhood and got a chance to meet him before he blew up. And their meeting proved to be transformative, as a young Kendrick offered words of encourage to Roddy.
Yeah. That's my big bro. I mean, because I knew him when I was young. I knew him when I was like 12 years old. And I had met him and his family, and he was like talking to me about like I rapped to him and stuff when I was like little like that. And he had told me like, man, you gonna be, you know, like something cool, like you gonna be something if you keep going, right? So then later on, like just for years, like I always kept that in the back of my head.
Now, it must have been amazing for Roddy to see someone like Kendrick set an example of what you can achieve despite coming out of the rough neighborhoods that swarmed Compton. But while Kendrick went on to redeem
That
immense
nigga
success
Kendrick
from
be
detailing
grooving
the
on his
story
out
of a
little-
good
little
kid
videos.
surviving in a mad city, Roddy took a different route. After becoming a member of the Crips gang, Roddy would commit robberies and start selling drugs to support himself. During his time in 8th through 10th grade, Roddy admitted that he would frequently ditch school and started to fail academically, and that during class, all he would do is listen to songs he recorded, which further emphasizes how school was not where he planned to redeem his ticket to success. It was also around this time he started experiencing symptoms of anger and antisocial behavior, which would set the foundation for his debut album that came out in 2019. Roddy tried to address his issues by going to therapy for his problems, but it didn't last long. And during the final 2 years of high school, he became deeply involved in street life and chose to discontinue his therapy sessions.
How does, like, what part of... I'm trying to figure out how he's antisocial, but he's around like, gang members and shit like that. Like, was he just not talking, or what the fuck? Where does the antisocial part come in at?
However, his lifestyle would soon catch up to him. And in 2016, Roddy wrecked his car and found himself confronting a potential gun charge at the age of 18, leading to a week-long stay in the county jail as he awaited bail. During that period, the gravity of the situation became clear to Roddy. He realized that he could either spend the rest of his teenage years in prison or actually chase his dream, which was to become a successful musician. This realization had a significant impact on his mindset, and it was during this challenging time that he started to take his passion for rhyming and making music more seriously. He started off recording music at his uncle's house, but failed to gain any attraction online early on, even going on sites like Facebook to express his disappointment of how no one liked his music. This only gave him more encouragement to polish his sound, and he would start to gain a small buzz locally by posting snippets of him freestyling.
Ask these bitches who the hottest niggas, they gon' say us. All this jewelry on me, bitch, we shining like the last moon.
Since Roddy Ricch is from Los Angeles, he was sort of an anomaly, being that he didn't sound like anything coming out of the West Coast at the time, like Kendrick Lamar, YG, or Nipsey Hussle. Instead, he took a lot of inspiration from rappers in Atlanta, specifically Young Thug and Future, before completely wearing his influences on his sleeve and rapping exactly like the Florida rapper Speaker Knockers.
Hey, yo, bitch, she keep going on my phone, yeah.
But everything would change in 2017 when he released his Feed the Streets.
Damn, that nigga! I thought that was a song. I'm like, I ain't never heard this from Speaker Knockers. I thought he was about to like side by side comparison that shit. No, this nigga said, nah, I'm really about to sound like Speaker Knockers real quick.
Mixtape, which showcased a completely new and improved sound that was ear candy to hip-hop heads all over the world, dropping hits like Chase the Bag,
I'm not patient this fast, how the blue spaces gon' fly to me.
and Fuck It Up.
I've been fucking with the same plug, I've been fucking with the rich niggas. Had to whip it with my wrist, nigga. Then I got it on my wrist, nigga.
These songs went viral on SoundCloud and YouTube, and it was here where he started receiving comments claiming that he's gonna blow up soon and that he was so slept on, leading him to be discovered by Nipsey Hussle, who helped him ink his first deal with Atlantic Records, where he wasted no time releasing the follow-up.
Shout out Nip, man. Shout out Nip for going to get that nigga out the box. You feel me?
Feed the Streets 2, and he had officially become the center of everyone's radar. But Roddy had no idea what was about to happen next, and that his lifestyle would completely transform only 1 year into the future. The Feed the Streets 2 mixtape had a song titled Die Young, which had a beat made by London on the Track, one of the most popular producers of this generation, who regularly produced for one of Roddy's main inspirations, Young Thug. It was released as an ode to the late XXXTentacion, who passed away shortly before releasing the music video, but despite the sad reality behind the track's production, the song was a straight banger.
I ain't tryna die young, so I gotta ride with one. Stood 10 toes down in my Balenciaga.
The song would become Roddy's breakthrough single, going 2 times platinum in the US, and the mixtape would go on to land a spot on Billboard's Hot 100 chart. From here, Roddy would just ride the wave to success, alongside picking up co-signs from Meek Mill, Mustard,
on his way.
who he linked up with for a major hit called Ballin', and the late great Nipsey Hussle, of course. And Roddy capitalized off his momentum for his debut album, Please Excuse Me for Being Antisocial, that released in December of 2019. And courtesy to the record's final single, he became a superstar.
Pulling out the coupe at the lot, told him fuck 12, fuck SWAT. Busting all the bells out the box. I just hit a lick with the box.
Most people watching this video were most likely introduced to Roddy Ricch from The Box, as it became one of the most explosive hits of this generation. At first,
I had heard that young, but I
didn't
didn't know who he was though.
And it wasn't until it became a meme on TikTok where it would go on to be used over 1.2 million times and really showcased the power of going viral on the app, spending 11 weeks at the top of the charts. On top of this, Roddy claimed that his song was made in just 15 minutes and told Time magazine that he had no idea it would be a hit upon releasing it. The song blew up mostly for the fact it became a meme for its iconic ad-lib in the beginning of the track. This song helped his debut album sell 101,000 album units in its first week, which is insane. For reference, Lil Durk is one of the most prominent rappers in the game today, and his last album just sold 100K units in his first week as well. So for a new artist who just stepped foot in the game, doing these kinds of numbers was crazy. It went on to stand as the longest running #1 debut rap album since 50 Cent's Get Rich or Die Trying, that dropped in 2003.
That's
it would be the first time artists like Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez literally had to beg their fans to stream their music in a desperate attempt to go #1. But nothing could stop him. By the time he picked up a Grammy at the 2020 ceremony for Best Rap Performance for the song Racks in the Middle, Roddy was a household name. But like all things that rise up too quickly, Roddy's fame and success took a drastic turn when he prepared for his next album, something he himself may have even seen coming.
So he knew it wasn't about to be what he thought it was gonna be, or he just knew he had too much traction, way too much heat.
Life, a steady incline is the best thing. Even it just in general, like you never want to rise to the top too fast in anything, because usually when you get to the top, there's no other way to go but down.
Right.
These words would echo a false sense of reality, as Roddy Ricch would experience one of the greatest downfalls hip-hop has ever seen, since the likes of Chance the Rapper or Lil Pump. The problem was that after he had gained such an insane meteoric rise so quickly in 2019, he simply took too long to drop his next project, which would drop nearly 2 years after. This is something elite artists such as Kanye, Cole, or Kendrick Lamar can do. But for Roddy, a rapper with a mixtape, one debut album, and a TikTok song, this just wasn't the case. And by the time he began rolling out his next album, he was slowly fading away into irrelevancy. He also began to create expectations for what was coming next that he couldn't live up to. For example, in an interview with GQ that he did in August of 2020, Roddy talked about his next record as if fans were about to receive an absolute classic, saying, quote,
"The next album is going to be a full-blown masterpiece, a real idea, a real body of work."
He's talking,
it sounded like he
that
was about
shit.
to drop another version of To Pimp a Butterfly or something.
Oh,
because
God.
the full-blown masterpiece he was referring to turned out to be the album called Live Life Fast that dropped in 2021. And boy, this album was genuinely not received well. It appeared that he was taking his abilities for granted and had morphed into complacency.
Okay, now I see. Because it came out in 2021. I didn't hear about it until like late last year. And he was already, okay, I see it now.
As reviews for his album were so mixed that it's now listed in Wikipedia as an example of the sophomore slump, a music industry phase used to describe a rapper's next album grossly undelivering compared to the first one. The album was criticized for lacking the unique spark that set Roddy Ricch apart in the first place. Many argue that the album felt more like an obligation and simply followed a formulaic checklist to maximize streamability. The songs on the album just seemed to lack that innovation and standout qualities that made Please Excuse Me for Being Antisocial so special. Many tracks on the album were considered dull retreats of cliches, with uninspired lyrics and faceless posturing. So it's no surprise that many fans went on social media to voice their frustration, claiming how the album was bad because they know Roddy can do better, and that the project was lackluster for a 2-year hiatus, expressing the fact that this ain't Roddy Ricch on the album, and instead it was Roddy broke. Now, some critics were willing to cut Roddy some slack, but for the most part, it wasn't looking so good for Roddy.
It was a cool album to me,
critics were on
but
it and didn't hesitate to tell it how it was.
Because what he's doing here is just absolutely not special or stand out in any way whatsoever, especially in comparison with his pretty good debut album.
To make matters worse, the first week's sales deteriorated from 100,000 to 62,000, and fans were suddenly wondering what happened to him. But Roddy downplayed what had happened with Live Life Fast in interviews with the likes of academics.
Just because the numbers didn't line up or the timing or the plan didn't really fall the way it was supposed to fall, and now niggas got this different narrative of how they want to play it, but I know what's going on. I still know I'm an earner.
While this seemed like a pretty truthful statement, Roddy would make himself look a little dumb when he tried generating more hype for new music by posting a snippet to Twitter.
Hey, I've been low, I've been high.
The track in question was known as Out of My Mind, and the second he posted it, he got destroyed on social media for how bad
Boo
it was,
this man.
with users going viral for claiming that they are witnessing the Chance the Rapper-ification of Roddy Ricch. After the negative feedback, Roddy Ricch deadass deleted his Twitter account and would post an Instagram story saying, "Guess I'm a flop now. Shit crazy." Now me, I didn't think it was so.
The Chance the Rapperification. So basically, when your sound is just like too much of a sound, like it's so far away from. Damn. We've never seen multiple albums out of a nigga that really like Juice hit. That whole little mixtape, man. Damn, that's crazy. The Chance the Rapperification.
Bad, and sadly, it never dropped, with Roddy clearly going back to the drawing board after his audience got to him. But later, he would explain that there were a whole host of other factors in his personal life that contributed to him deciding to do this. And it's kind of sad when you hear his side of the story.
I got a call that one of my close family members had a heart attack. Me and this family member, we never seen eye to eye, but he's a real foundation in my family, held it down for everybody, aunties, cousins, uncles, everybody. He look out for everybody, but we just, as men, we ain't see eye to eye, and that shit fucked me up, you know what I mean? Like, just the possibility of him not being with me here no more, I couldn't have those conversations. And like, a lot of that shit kind of was just playing in my head, fucked me up. And I had another serious conversation with my pops about my son. A lot of that shit just it was weighing down.
He would also later explain in a podcast with Joe Budden that another fact that led him to dropping a pretty bad album was the fact that he wasn't focused on music much after the success of his first album, as he was trying to find different means to store his money. Following his big claims of a no-skip policy on Live Life Fast that never came to pass, Roddy cooled down the sense of occasion in the lead up to Feed the Streets 3 in 2022, and suggested that he didn't have to attempt to reach any new peak, and wanted to steer away from going mainstream by making an album strictly for his audience. In the process, he even fired a shot to his own fan base for expecting too much from him.
What do you say to yourself when people try to have these expectations and they're so unrealistic?
I mean, that's on them. You know what I mean? I feel like I've just been having a great career in rap. You know what I'm saying? I feel like whatever people's expectations are, they need to put them on themselves. If I can't make you happy, go make yourself happy.
Roddy seemed to suggest that the focus had shifted from what he had accomplished in the past in order to justify his position, rather than delivering something groundbreaking his next time out. Besides, it probably didn't get any easier to motivate himself when he's since confirmed that he makes $500,000 per show, even providing receipts for the doubters. But despite tapping back into his legendary mixtape series, the Feed the Streets 3 mixtape brought further diminished returns, landing at just 14 on Billboard and selling just 39,000 units in its first week. Once again, critics and fans were underwhelmed and had this sense that he wasn't pushing himself enough, maybe out of fear of receiving backlash from his audience again. Left with a loosened grip on hip-hop, Roddy's woes may be a result of a creative downturn or his wealth getting in the way of his work, but there are also some personal issues that may have stretched him a little thin. For one thing, he's become increasingly embroiled in the internet drama that he's once pledged to avoid, as well as acknowledging that the pressures of social media got to him. The normally composed Roddy lost his cool when acknowledging that the embroiled in the internet drama that he's once pledged.
This might be the trap house, but goddamn, somebody do some dishes or put some shit away or what the fuck?
Avoid, as well as acknowledging that the pressures of social media got to him. The normally composed Roddy lost his cool when a Crip named Yael accused him of false flagging, which basically means he was pretending to be a part of the Crips gang that we mentioned earlier in the video, and engaged in a crazy argument on Clubhouse where he was seemingly trying to prove his credentials.
Saying that you ain't from the hood, you ain't been to the hood.
You saying I'm not from the hood? Who's saying I'm not from the hood? You saying I'm not from the hood?
I said what I said.
All the while flexing how much money he's made in the rap game. Elsewhere, he has also been previously caught on camera pushing his fans when they
Hey, he sounded way different on that phone call. He had to show him like, nah, nigga, I'm really from LA.
try to get selfies, and in one fiery exchange with paparazzi. But worst of all, he's even been caught on camera kicking an audience member who came up on stage when security had it handled already. Beyond that, he's also in a messy battle over his firstborn son and his baby mama Alexandra Kaiser, looking for full custody and airing Roddy's dirty laundry in public. In recent court filings, she spoke about how he has been arrested on gun charge, domestic violence, and regularly indulges in promethazine use, all of which are concerns for her and their son. Claiming that he spends $20,000 in the club on a light night, his baby mama's expose pointed to a drug problem that, when you look back, he's been hiding in plain sight ever since he's talked about pouring up the whole damn seal on the box. With Kaiser claiming in court documents that he has an estimated net worth of $25 million, Roddy isn't going to go broke anytime soon, even if his music continues to be less and less impactful. Because of this, it seems like he maybe isn't trying to the same degree, as he is fearful of being confronted with the same sense of failure that he's experienced in both his professional and personal life in recent years.
I don't like disappointment, you know? I don't like to put too much faith in anything, even being on the other.
So really motherfuckers be actually like playing a character. Real life playing a character. Because you would think that he actually sound like that. But then you heard him on the phone call. So this is just him trying to sound like Roddy Ricch. Like speech and all. Because if somebody check him, he not gonna sound like that. He not gonna sound like he from Atlanta, low key. And then he gonna switch back to who said that? Okay, I'm seeing it now.
Side of it, like I know it's some people that are probably disappointed. So it's just like just knowing that, and that's just not a good feeling altogether. So I don't really let myself get let down, if that makes sense. You know?
For sure.
So as you can see, this is a big change in attitude from the days where he had a lot of confidence in delivering a masterpiece. And combined with his alleged over-reliance on lean, it may go some way to explaining some of the wayward decisions in his everyday life too. At the moment, it seems like a combination of personal and professional factors has meant that Roddy has struggled to recapture the magic and is now facing allegations that he's fallen off. But if he wants to have any chance of reaching those heights he's experienced with his debut album, then he better conjure it back up and fast. Otherwise, his upcoming project, tentatively entitled Love Is Barely Real Anymore, might suffer a similar or perhaps even worse fate than the last two records.
It's tough. You better get it together.
I love y'all niggas. Tell me how that motherfucker still dancing. I cut the lights off in the club, went panic on my wrist. Every time I'm in the city, just call me Money Mitch.
Push the goddamn button. June time. Push the goddamn button.